Hello, welcome to another edition of 1036 here on Milwaukee PBS. I'm your host, Portia Young. A quick program note, we were going to bring you the story of UW-Madison's retiring band director, Mike LaCrone. We will bring you that story next month here on 1036. We will spend the next half hour, though, talking with someone who's charged with the safety of the city of Milwaukee. Alfonso Morales was named the city's police chief last April after serving as interim chief for several weeks prior. He joined the department in 1993 and is a native Milwaukeean, so he knows our city very well. Chief Morales joins us now to talk about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going in terms of safety and community relations here in Milwaukee. Welcome, Chief Morales.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here on 1036. So we just want to start with it. It's on a lot of people's minds, the level of crime in our city. That is something that we do want to talk about because 4 years ago, we did make a list of 10 most dangerous cities in America. In your opinion, how dangerous is our city?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. The level of crime that we have is truly unacceptable. The gun violence is not acceptable. I'm a resident, longtime resident of the city of Milwaukee, and I want to see a change. So I have a personal interest in helping the city and doing my part in reducing it. When we talk about that, now you say how safe is the city. I did a press conference at the beginning of the year to show significant crime reductions. But what I will say is we can't sugarcoat these things. When you have a large portion of the city that is considerably safe, we can't ignore the neighborhoods that are not safe or the neighborhoods that are challenged. And what I brought up, and one of the things we're moving forward in 2019 with our strategy, is focusing on 5 different neighborhoods that account for 30 to 40% of our violent crime. What can we do to engage and have a plan that incorporates that community to empower themselves?
Which neighborhoods are you talking about specifically?
There are specific neighborhoods. I'll name some. We have Amani, Harambe. We have Lincoln Village on the south side, and others that we want to focus on, and we are going to be presenting those in the future to come up with a plan and strategy to try to bring on that community portion of crime reduction where you holistically address the problem.
What do you tell the people that say, I'm not going to Milwaukee because I'm fearful?
I would have to say you have to be here, you have to see it to understand that sometimes what you see is not always the truth. We have our issues here in the city of Milwaukee, no doubt, but there's a lot of good in the city of Milwaukee to view. We can look at certain numbers, obviously, that are of concern. I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, but I often say this, and Milwaukee has several Fortune 500 companies that were here, built by the people of Milwaukee. There's some great people in the city of Milwaukee, smart people in the city of Milwaukee. There's great businesses here and great opportunity for jobs. In our education system, when we talk about our further education, some of the public and private colleges, they're great. So.
You touched on 2 things, jobs, education. Do you feel like you had the support from Mayor Tom Barrett and from Governor Tony Evers to be able to drive those things that we know can reduce crime?
Yes, I do.
You have the full support?
Yes, I believe so.
Do you have the resources?
We have to work on the resources, and here's why I say we have to work on those, is public safety is expensive. And I will publicly say we need more resources. But at the same time, when the resources that public safety utilizes, and you talk about if you're a city manager or a mayor and 40+% of your budget goes to public safety, what do? That's a lot of money. We need it, but where are the other areas that we can pull those resources instead of continuously taking that from the tax dollars? And I have to understand that, and I have to, as part of my job, is to identify what are the other areas where I can pull to obtain those resources that we need to keep the city safe.
So when we say resources, you're specifically saying money.
Yes.
Are there other resources you may need?
Oh, yes. Well, the money would bring the additional resources or equipment needs or training needs. Some of that is through state and federal grants. And what I'm looking to do to build up on a department where it's a plan that I can't really discuss yet, but a plan to identify other alternatives and bringing in that finance.
Last August, there were 16 homicides in 20 days last August. And at that time, you vowed to stop the violence. And you said you were going to do this through something you just mentioned, through community relation and improving those bridges to the communities. You said, in fact, quote, relationships are built on actions. And early last year, you spoke before the city's Public Safety and Health Committee about the importance of involving the community on this shared problem of crime. So let's take a listen.
Yes.
I spent a greater part of my career dealing with crisis. So when you're dealing in the city of Milwaukee and dealing with crisis like robbery and homicide and gangs and guns and drugs, it's always negative, and sometimes you get a perception that the sky is falling, that there is just a multitude of crime. Working patrol and working the other side, the community-oriented part, you realize that there's another picture to the city of Milwaukee. There are people that live in the city of Milwaukee that we owe it to them as intergovernmental partners. All of us owe it to them to make sure we do everything in our part to help them in these neighborhoods and the entire city.
After seeing that, what's working, what's not working?
Okay, what's working is the strategy that we implemented last year, and understand that to change an organization as big as the City of Milwaukee Police Department, it doesn't happen overnight. We made some significant changes that put us in the right direction, but we still have a long way to go. As far as where I'm happy at our crime enforcement strategy. It starts off with empowering the district commanders to run their districts. Those district commanders have their pulse on what's going on in those neighborhoods. And they are given the resources that we can give them, and they have to use those resources and use the community to identify solutions to the problems. Now, if we're focusing on violent crime, there is a holistic approach that involves, when I mean violent crime, that's gun violence, robberies, homicides, non-fatal shootings, that type of gun violence. We utilize an approach that involves, you often hear me say this, our system partners. What I mean by system partners, that is, first of all, the district, the patrol division of the police department, the investigative portion of the police department, that involves our prosecutors, both state and federal prosecutors, that involves our federal partners, and our Department of Corrections and other law enforcement entities that need to come in when it involves outside jurisdictions. When we do this approach, and this is one of three parts to the strategy, the law enforcement portion of it, we identify weekly, and once a week, we identify what is the problem that's going to show the highest threat of recidivism in our community on gun violence. We identify the 10% of the problem in the city, and we determine different ways to address that. It may be a law enforcement end, where we actually say, here's the problem, we need to remove that threat from society, which is going to involve building a case, taking that person to, before court, getting them charged, and removing them from society. That's our target enforcement, but the target may not necessarily always be a person that we want to remove and put in jail. After our law enforcement shoot review, we will then have a presentation that involves the community. It's called the Community Service Provider Review. That's done every other week. And in that one, we identify the locations and certain people that the community might want to take special interest to. Maybe somebody that an organization can reach out, provide them services to remove them from the lifestyle that they're leading. There's different organizations. I'll give you one because we're still building on that part. So when you say what's working, this is the part that's in its infancy. And this is the second component to our strategy, is bringing the community, showing them the problem, and holistically identifying a solution. If it's using other city resources to help empower a certain neighborhood, to remove maybe one problem house, or talk a person out of a lifestyle of crime using organizations like the Alma Center that really focuses on domestic violence, utilizing these resources to identify a problem. That's the holistic approach. That is now the component, the community component. And the third component is the research component, to continue to monitor what we're doing and see what works and what doesn't work, and what the part that does work, how do we duplicate that in another area.
So what's not working?
Well, what I would say is where we need to, and this is a constant, is we need to continue to build those community relationships. Okay. In our first year, we got one component up and running strong, okay, which is one area that I would say is showing some of the differences in the violent crime. The second component that I'm focusing on this year, so I can't say it's not working, I'm just telling you we're not there yet. Okay. It's not ready yet. It's the community component.
What about a culture change at MPD? You were saying that let your district commanders run their districts. Was there too much concentrated power at the top before?
The strategy was too focused from the top down and really didn't give the district level commanders the autonomy to show their, to make the decisions at their level.
You did vow to reduce the response time in our city. So where are we standing right now in 2019?
We are down. Again, those are numbers where it's, can I say we are happy with, with the number, the time, response time being brought down? It's okay. But again, those are things that we can do better and identify how we can do better. And does that mean continue to push our officers to respond to calls? It's being smart about the calls that are coming through. I will tell you where I don't want to go. When you classify a call for service, a street level robbery, let's just say it's a kid coming home from school. He or she has their backpack, and they have their cell phone in their backpack. And somebody comes out, pulls out a gun, and takes their backpack. That student walks to the gas station and calls for the police. Eventually, and in some of our economically challenged neighborhoods, if we don't respond on time, bad weather, it's cold, it's raining, I got to catch the bus. I jump on the bus, and we may not find that victim. And that victim may be a part of a series of robberies that we were never able to utilize or bring a part of identifying the problem and addressing the problem. So those are things that you miss if you don't get there soon enough. Or you have the most violent ones. Our 911, when it's truly an emergency, somebody, life or death situations, we get to those. But what about the other one that I was talking about? Those are just as important, that we get out there and find out what's going on.
Well, we all know, we've seen the headlines. We've talked about it here on 1036. It has been an incredibly tragic year for MPD, losing 3 officers in the line of duty, serving our city, serving the cause. Is there anything that you plan to do or that you even can do to try to better protect our police officers and to make sure that they go home the way that they came to work?
In the 21st century style of policing, and one thing that I really push upon our department is that we do debriefs. At the district level, sergeants should be debriefing with their officers on events that occurred the day before. They may be responding to a scene of a shooting or responding to just a call for assistance, something very simple as handling a simple domestic issue. Identifying those things and in dissecting it during our roll calls. What did we do wrong? What did we do right? What can we do better? And really promoting that amongst each other so we learn from that. Now that's just at the district level. Our SWAT team does that on every search warrant that they do, every assignment that our SWAT team responds to, and that's kind of the core of is to do a debrief on how that event worked out. What went wrong? What went right? What can we do better? As an agency, we do the same, holistically as a department. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Let's look at these things and see how we can get better.
How did you personally get through?
The biggest part, and oftentimes at these levels, what we're scared to say is, where's our faith? And the more years I've had on this department, and I think the older you get, the more mature, the more you realize that there is a God, and you put your faith in that God, that helps you through. The things that happen on our department and the people that came forward to help the entire team through that, I mean, from chaplains, from psychologists to help us through that, is amazing. It brought our department closer. It humanized us, and it really, a positive note that came from it, the community really showed that they care.
Well, let's talk about the big headlines that we've all seen. The Democratic National Convention is coming to Milwaukee. How can you police a huge event where the whole world will be watching and also keep our city as safe as it possibly can be at the same time?
We are extremely happy that we're getting this. And you hear I say we, because this is an opportunity not only for the city of Milwaukee police, or the city of Milwaukee in general, but when it comes to public safety, you often hear me say this, it's not just about the city of Milwaukee Police Department, it's surrounding jurisdictions, the county, surrounding counties, state of Wisconsin, and our federal partners. And these are things that we want to have to show how well we work together. The law enforcement community in the state of Wisconsin, city, county, state, are working together at their best. Then I'm told hasn't been like this in more than 30 years, where the relationships are that great. And I believe in relationships. So this is not just important for the city of Milwaukee, it's everybody in law enforcement. And we're all happy to have it, and we're ready to take the challenge on. It's a great opportunity for all of us.
Do you have the resources right now to handle a convention? Like if it were to happen
I don't think it's fair to say if it were to happen right now. If it were to happen right now with our training and planning, yeah, then I would say that. I would say we can do it right now with the city, county, and state and feds working together, absolutely. But something like that, that's why we need to know a year in advance, so we can plan, prepare, and study from the other cities, which we're going to do, and we've already been pulling that information, what went right and what went wrong in these other cities. We have to do better than the next city that had it.
What training, when you talk about that, what specific training are you talking about? Are you talking, people that have to be plain clothed within the convention? And is there really some specialized things that you could share with us?
Yes, there's a ton. Even though I can say we have officers that are involved, give you an example, crowd control. We have officers that are trained in dignitary protection. But those in our to be vigilant, our fusion center that communicates with national threats, local threats, and international threats to identify them. Now utilizing what type of training we're going to do to exercise these things before they happen. An easy one to tell you is an active shooter. Mm-hmm. We train for those, but now incorporating that in an event like this, we have to be prepared. And that's what I mean by having the proper training on everyone who's going to be involved in this incident, and even training in how we communicate these things. Our incident command system is something that we're going to have down. And just a little bit on the incident command system is the command center on where the calls come in to utilize where the resources are going to go for an emergency. We have to be prepared for all of that.
You were born here in Milwaukee, grew up, went to school in a predominantly segregated city, as we know. A lot of the Midwestern cities face that. As a Latino police officer, did you ever encounter any obstacles when you wanted to join the force? Or did you feel like perhaps when you joined the force that you were doing this on behalf of your community?
I will tell you, and I say this, Spanish-speaking officer in law enforcement, yes, sometimes you view that as a tool instead of a police officer. What I mean by that is we speak two languages, no different than the Hmong police officer or the Vietnamese police officer, a police officer that speaks a different language. And you have a growing Hispanic community. And what I mean by a tool or a resource is when I came on the job, I could not work with another Spanish-speaking officer because you needed to spread out your resources to handle those calls if there was a Spanish speaker. So you view it as that. Now you have those calls, you end up being overworked. My entire career, although I can use that as a negative, it helped me be where I'm at now. Because the jobs that I was sent to, hey, this is a Spanish speaker, you handle it. This is a homicide investigation, Spanish speaker, you handle it. It's not a team anymore, it's all yours. You know, this is a robbery investigation, you handle it. I have to handle it because I speak both languages, but then again, who benefited? So I could complain, but it really helped me understand the police department and, you know, how it's run.
How can you use that then, and how can you use your tooling, your upbringing, and the experience that you have to really crack down on racial profiling and to ensure that that doesn't come part of the fabric of Milwaukee PD?
When we talk about diversity, the Milwaukee Police Department in the early 90s was doing some great things. We trained in culture diversity. We trained in verbal judo, which is those two things alone was, first of all, understand the cultures that you're working with are going to be different from yours, maybe. And there was three parts. And the communication, even though it was verbal judo, it was helping us communicate with someone in ways that it would de-escalate the contact. And the third thing was, in the 90s, we brought up upon the department great diversity. So even partners, even though I told you I wasn't allowed to work with another person, I was working with somebody who may have never worked with a Hispanic officer, and you learn from each other. And sometimes those biases end up going away. Now, fast forward to 25 years from now, what are some of the things we're doing all over again? Fair and impartial policing, which helps us understand that we all have biases. And what are we training again? Professional communications. Where have we gone wrong in the last 25 years? And let me back up to the third part. Our diversity in our department is not what it was in the 90s. So we always push, what happened to the large group of minorities that we had in the department? They're retiring after 25 years. And why did we not sustain that? Why did we not sustain the training in communications? Why did we not sustain the training in culture diversity or fair and impartial policing? And the reason being is we have so much turnover in our department from retirements and movement that we have to remain those types of training as a constant and always identify what better training and communication is out there to keep pushing that upon our officers. We have 21-year-old officers that work the streets. Do they really know how to communicate, especially in a generation now that communicates often through text message and cell phone? Our verbal communications are extremely important to de-escalate a contact when people are in crisis. That's a lot of training that we'd love, or I love to impose on our officers from the time they come on at 21 years of age or even at 18. Communication skills are extremely important.
Why did you become police chief?
I don't know. My wife asked me that. It's my last opportunity being here in the city of Milwaukee and being in the position I am to do what I can to give something back to the city.
What would the rank and file say about you?
It depends. I am not done communicating with the entire rank and file. So far, I think people would say, if they were to say something about me, whether it's good or bad, I think nobody will deny that I do have a passion for doing whatever I can to make Milwaukee safer.
What would your kids say about you?
I think the kids will say that I spend a lot of time letting them know about the history of where they're at, where we're at, and what this job means to me and the family. I really impress upon them the same values that my parents impressed upon me. I give them an understanding of why it's important that they get up on Sunday morning to go to church And I really impress upon them to understand, how some things are going to be positive and some things are going to be negative. I also lead a life where I tell them if they make a mistake, guess what? It's going to come out on TV. So they have to understand that they're also held to a higher standard where they're at.
Have they seen these pictures? We're going to take a look at you back at your football days. A couple of photographs that we have here. You were quite the football player there, both at Milwaukee Tech and at Carroll College, Carroll University now. Standout running back. I didn't know this about you. Still in the record books at Carroll as well. Tell me about those pictures.
I never had any intention of going to college. My whole intent at that time was to be a mechanic, an auto mechanic. So if I look at myself and I'm like, I always, and you often hear me say this, I was not a brainiac. I wouldn't say I was the best athlete, but I enjoyed sports. I enjoyed the camaraderie that came with team. And if there weren't the people that were there to help me make it to college, help me actually take me out, talk to the faculty at Carroll, and actually sign up, I would never have been there. The sports, and this is what I say to the youth when I talk to our young generation, sports is something that you need to do in grade school and high school, or an activity, because it's going to help you understand and push you to get that further education. At the end of the day, sports gets you your education. Sports does not get you into professional sports. Mm-hmm. It's use the sports to get you the education that will help you later. And that's how I was brought up. Good things will come. And again, there's a lot that comes from being a part of those organizations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Chief Alfonso Morales from Milwaukee Police Department. Thank you very much for being here on 1036.
Thank you so much for having us.
And thank you all for watching. We will be back next month, April 18th at 7:30 right here on Milwaukee PBS. And if you're a UW band fan, you will want to tune in. In the meantime, check us out at milwaukeepbs.org, and you can always see us on Facebook. We'll see you next time.